Welcome again. Welcome to another episode of Carving the Divine TV. My name is Yujiro Seki. I'm a director, writer, and the producer of the documentary Carving the Divine. Carving the Divine is about the Buddhist statues and people who make those statues. It's 1,400 years of Japanese tradition, and I'm ready to present it for the first time in the world. But before I do so, I thought it would be a really interesting idea to present information about Buddhism and the history of the Buddhism so that when you guys finally watch the documentary, you guys can enjoy at the maximum value. So today we have this special guest again. I'm really happy that you made a decision to come back and talk to us again. His name is Professor Peter Bolland. I would like to introduce guys Professor Peter Bolland. Welcome, Mr. Peter Bolland.
Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all of you. And hey, Yujiro, it's great to be here again. Let's have some fun.
Great, great. So I know everybody knows about you already, but in case people who don't know anything about you, please introduce yourself.
Sure. So I'm a professor of philosophy and humanities at Southwestern College in California, where I teach Asian philosophy and world mythology and world religions. And I'm also a writer. I have 2 columns in 2 different magazines, and I do a lot of lecturing and workshopping, and I teach meditation and all kinds of stuff. And you can read all about that on peterbolland.com. So that's how I met Yujiro, was through one of those lectures, and we've become friends since.
Beautiful. Yes, yes. I'm always impressed with how you lecture, because sometimes this subject could get very boring and dry, but you don't let that allow. You throw some humors there, and you can consolidate a big idea into a small everyday life example. And I'm really happy that you're here and talk to us today.
Well, I think you put the hammer on the nail there. The crucial work in communication, whether it's filmmaking or teaching, is to make the big story connect with our little stories, the stories of our lives. And if you can't do that, you're in the wrong business. Philosophy and religion and spirituality, and it's profoundly interesting all by itself. If it's boring, it's because there's some kind of wall that's been put up. And so teachers and artists and filmmakers, we're always trying to tear down those walls and connect people with, the essential questions that they already carry with them. That's what I love to do.
Great, great. I'm glad that you talked to us about it, because today's question is all about that. So, yeah, I often hear from people, and I just want to connect this idea into our episode today, which is basically usually I don't think philosophy is useful. Philosophy is useless, because what are you going to do with philosophy when you get out of school? How can you make money with philosophy? So if you're a philosophy major, you end up with nothing but debt, and you're not going to be able to move forward with your life. So with that being said, I want to ask you, Mr. Bolland, what is philosophy and why it's so important? Why should we even care? If it doesn't make sense to study, so why do we have it in school? Please tell us all about it.
Well, this is a great question, and it's an ancient question, actually. What is the value of studying philosophy? And I guess there's a lot of things to peel back and say about it, but maybe the first place to start is you don't have to go to a university or a college to study philosophy. It's something that you can do in the midst of any other kind of life. But of course you can, in a college or in a university, like the college that I teach at, take courses in philosophy and major in it and get a degree in philosophy. But it's a kind of niche major. Not that many people choose it for some of the reasons that you cited. I mean, it's not a bad question. It's a legitimate question to ask. Philosophy major, what are you going to do with that? But let's examine that statement. what are you going to do with it? I think tucked up inside that statement is another statement, which is education must translate into a paycheck. That the purpose of going to college is to acquire professional skills that a future employer will hire you to perform. So under that mindset, the purpose of education is just job training. And some majors are really good at that. You know, becoming an accounting major makes you an accountant, and so on. What does becoming a philosophy major make you? You know, as last I checked, no one's hiring philosophers, right? So it except guys like me who teach in college and in other places like that. Not a lot of jobs in that area. So it's a question that gets to the heart of this. What is the purpose of education overall? Is it just to job train me so I can make a paycheck later? Or is there some more intangible reason to become an educated person, to become acquainted with the world's wisdom traditions and artistic traditions and the studies of history and culture and religion? What if education feeds the soul and enriches the mind and equips us to do any job better? One last thing on this. There's a lot of interesting research about philosophy as a major. In fact, it ends up being a pretty good major if you measure mid-career salary. So maybe this is getting lost in the weeds a little bit, but the best college majors for first-year salaries are stuff like accounting and IT and engineering and the science degrees. Those college graduates get hired and earn a pretty good living right out of college. But when you look mid-career, like when people get into their 40s, and then you ask the question again, what college majors led to the best mid-career incomes? The whole thing turns over if you take the science majors out. Philosophy, history, journalism, English. These are the people who have carved out pretty great professional careers as entrepreneurs, in marketing, in political campaigns, or in government administration, or in the arts. So philosophy, if bottom line, if your heart is calling you to study philosophy, do it. That's what I tell my students. The work will happen later. Your heart will lead you into meaningful work. The money will come. You'll find a way to engage in the economy in a fruitful way. Studying philosophy doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck in a menial job the rest of your life. It just doesn't.
Wow, that was a very mouthful information, but I definitely recognize that right now I'm working with Carving the Divine, and Carving the Divine is about people who's making statues. But beyond making statues, there was a reason behind that we've been doing for 1,400 years, at least in Japan. And if you take the philosophy out, I'll be only presenting the movie who people just make statues.
Right.
Right. There's some deeper meaning behind this whole tradition, and it helped me. I'm not trying to defend the philosophy here, but I definitely recognize what you're talking about. So I'm very happy that you talked to us today, because there are a lot of information out there that don't study philosophy, don't do it, period.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a fear-based impulse, and again, I don't recommend that anyone be impractical. Making money matters. You got to have a roof over your head. You got to eat. So in my life, I always tried to find a middle path between practicality and following my heart. And I think you can make that work. It's not one or the other. It's not a soulless job just to eat or a soulful life of starvation. Those aren't the two choices. And so a lot of college majors, like, again, I don't mean to pick on accounting, but college majors that are designed to prepare you for a career, to equip you with a set of professional skills, like becoming an IT technician or whatever, a physicist. Those kinds of jobs those kinds of majors teach you how to work. But in philosophy and in the humanities in general, we ask a different question. Why work? What is the meaning of work? Why do I value what I value? And that soul level clarification to find meaningful purpose and to immerse yourself in the wisdom traditions of the world, not just to academically learn what they said, but in order to clarify what is moving through me, what is taking expression through me, and determine, am I living an authentic life of value that is true to my essence? The biggest tragedy is to throw yourself into a career out of fear and make a ton of money and turn 50 and look back and go, what the hell did I do with my life? What was the meaning of any of that? I seem to have left my soul somewhere on the road 20 years ago. I don't want people to do that. You can have a rich, authentic life in any career path, in business, anywhere. But if you're not also digging into your own humanitarian essence, then it's only half a life. It's an empty life. And I think in philosophy and in religious studies, we give to all of our students some of those skills, so that when they go off and they do whatever it is they're going to do, they go into that with a richer, conscious intentionality and authenticity. And that means more joy, period. Just more joy.
Great, great. More joy. That's a really good place to end this conversation. So thank you so much, Professor Bolland. Please tell us about what's going on in your life and what kind of activity you do, please.
Sure. Well, again, people can always go to peterbolland.com, and that's my website, and you'll find there a schedule of all of my upcoming events. Also, you'll find a link to my YouTube channel where I have some videos to look at as well. And sign up on the newsletter if you like. I'd love to stay in touch with anybody who wants to join my mailing list, and that's also at peterbolland.com.
Great. So thank you very much. With that note, I'll tell you, just like I always, please follow me on Twitter, Instagram, like me on my Facebook, and subscribe this YouTube channel, because that's how we do it in the 21st century. And we, Mr. Peter Bolland and I, are doing that together.
Yes, amen.
Thank you. So see you next time.
Thank you.